Hello guys and girls, welcome back to another episode on the Falcon YouTube channel. Hope you're all doing really well and you've been enjoying the content so far. We are into 2020 now, so hope everyone's had a great start to their year and you're really kicking on with the momentum. Now in this video, I wanted to talk about something that's really important and something that I didn't really think about early on in my journey, because when I first got involved into Forex, I thought, I'm getting involved just because I want to make more money, just like a lot of people getting involved in that. But there were so many things that actually has changed my life and so many others. When I speak to a lot of people in the Falcon community, what they always say about Falcon as well is that it's not just trading education, it's actually improved all areas of my life. And that got me thinking about what's it improved in my life and why do I think that it improves everybody's life when they start off in Forex trading. So I'm gonna list a few things that I think that is really important to just keep in your trading career. I mean, how many of you want to trade for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years? There's a lot of things that you're going to need to maintain, because after you break through to consistency, it isn't this just, now I'm consistent, I don't need to do what I originally done to get there. You need to do the maintenance work, which is what actually keeps you there in the first place. So we'll go through that. So First up is really about having a growth mindset. So we touched on the mindset point of view. It really helped me to think in the bigger picture. And I was thinking more so, how can I expand as much as possible? Rather than a fixed mindset, it really helped me with a growth mindset. You've probably heard these concepts of growth versus fixed mindset. That was a big thing for me, which I didn't even think about. I just thought, right, I need to learn the strategy, I need to learn how to do that. Once I can do that, I can start making money. Not realizing that I really had to develop that growth mindset. And this kind of tied into reading and listening. So I'm a big advocate of listening to books, just because that's how I consume information a lot more efficiently. But of course, who doesn't love a good book now and again? So I do read from time to time, but mainly I'm listening to books. So this really pushed me to want to listen to books and read books, because I realized that in order for me to take my mindset and have that growth mindset, keep improving that and take it to the next level, I need to keep improving. I need to read not just in my field, but outside of my field. And this brought me onto books like Chimp Paradox, for example, which, as you guys and girls know, that I'm a big advocate of Chimp Paradox, because when you're growing, you need to read in all areas. You can't just get trading books and think, well, that's what's going to help me. So I started reading all kinds of different things, and even biographies, and just learning about different individuals, what makes them tick, what are their routines and all these kind of things. How can I learn from successful habits of successful people? So I'm so glad that got me into that, because before I didn't really enjoy reading that much. So until I realized this is actually an essential ingredient for my success longer term, I actually started to enjoy it, and then started to learn to love listening, and that was part of my routine. So I listen to books every morning. And I think that's a really important thing. And this kind of moves on to other areas that I would have never even dreamed of doing, which is things like meditation. So meditation is a huge part. Now, my meditation is a little bit different. So I don't sit there in silence and do. I know there's all different forms of meditation, and this is still relatively a new area for me. So I used an app called Brain FM. Definitely go and check it out if you haven't used Brain FM already. It's really incredible. I use it for a lot of different things, but definitely in the morning I always use Brain FM. That helps me. And my form of meditation is actually just taking the dogs for a walk. So going with, not focusing too much on technology, just even though I've got AirPods in my ears, but just listening, taking the dogs for a walk, taking it all in. And that's my form of meditation. There's other forms as well, but that's what's helped me massively. And if you would have asked me years and years ago, oh, do you meditate? I would have probably said, no, what's that? I don't feel like I need to do that, or I don't enjoy doing that. But again, having an open growth mindset made me think, well, this actually helps me become more calm, more focused. I can make better, clear and concise decisions. As a side effect, that helps my trading. So you see how all these things tie together. So meditation was something that I didn't really think would be a big part of my life, and now I absolutely love it. I couldn't think of anything different now, because I love my routine so much that having that, once I've ticked it off, you have that dopamine effect, and it feels incredible. It really does. Next point I would say is probably preparation, organization, because in order to maintain, let's talk about the maintenance work of consistency, you have to be organized, you have to be prepared. Because if you're not focusing on processes versus outcome, which you've probably seen, we've done a video on that recently, having your processes versus your outcome, if you're not organized and you're not structured and you don't do all these things, it has a detrimental effect to your trading. So what trading does is it encourages you to be more organized. So can you see how learning in Forex changed my life and so many others? Is because it gives you these transferable skills that you can then organize in other areas of life. So when it comes through to things like, I'm doing my forecasting, doing all my routines, and I'm fully organized and know exactly what I need to do, then that transfers to things like health and fitness. Because then I'm thinking about what am I going to eat for the week? And then I plan that out and I meal prep that. Then I think about one step further. What am I going to wear for the week? So I know exactly what I'm wearing each day. And some people could look at that and think, oh, that's over the top. But for me, that's bliss, that's joy. Let me know as well in the comments if you're somebody else that does all of this kind of planning, where you plan your food, you plan your trading, you plan your clothes, you do all these things. I know some people go even more in depth than that, and I'd love to hear about that. But that's helped me, and I really, really enjoy that, knowing that, right, I don't waste any energy on things that I don't need to, because I know what I'm going to eat, I know what I'm going to wear, I know what I'm going to focus on, I have my routines. So it really, really helps with that. So as a life skill of organization, I found that to be massive. And this brings me on to another word, discipline. Discipline is always used sometimes almost negatively, because people think, oh, it's discipline. They almost associate a negative connotation to it. Well, I have a positive connotation to it, because with discipline comes reward. And you have to do the things that you need to do to achieve your goals. And this comes in the form of things like, let's say, for example, you work a 9-to-5 job. So many of you right now will be working 9-to-5 and you want to quit your job, you're trading. So how does discipline come into this? Well, think of it like this. Let's say that you need to do a specific routine. In Falcon, it'll be more so forecasting. So let's say your morning routine, you're doing 15 minutes in the morning before you go to work. Let's say you leave at 6 a.m. And in order for you to have that, you need that 15 minutes spare. It would be very easy for you to just sleep in for a little bit longer. You feel tired, you leave it, you don't do your forecasting, you go to work. 15 minutes, that's all it is, but you don't do it. And then guess what? Throughout the day, you're not focused, you're not organized, you're not switched on, and then you don't take the trade because you didn't forecast and you didn't have the clarity. You got involved in just some really low quality average trades. Take a few losses, then you come back that day feeling frustrated, all these kind of emotions of, oh, I've had a bit of a bad day. Well, why is that? Well, that's a side effect of you not being disciplined for your forecasting in the morning. So do you see how that transferable skill, in order for you to be a great trader, you need to be disciplined. If you apply discipline into your life, you can apply it to other areas of your life, whether that be with food and your fitness goals or all kinds of other things. So I really think discipline is a big thing, and this helps with achieving your goals, because if you're disciplined in all those other areas, like I said, you can work on your fitness goals, you can work on different goals. So discipline has definitely been a big thing for myself, and feeling a good connotation towards it. And then comes financial freedom. I think financial freedom is really the side effect of all of this, right? We're all getting into different things for different reasons. Most of you, especially if you're just starting out in trading, you probably want to get involved in Forex because you want the financial freedom. I get it, I understand that. But the thing is, most people going in with that mindset don't have financial freedom, and they lose. They fall into the 90-90-90 rule that you've heard. Why is that? It's because they literally go in with the mindset of, how do I make money? They're asking the wrong questions. When you start asking what habits, what routines, what processes makes up a consistent, profitable, successful trader and successful individual in all areas of life, that is the better question that you want to ask yourself, that's going to lead you to get the better, more productive answers. If you focus on the outcome, you end up not achieving the outcome. If you focus on the process, you get the outcome as a side effect. This is not just trading, this is a side effect of everything in life. If you meet any successful athletes, any successful billionaires, millionaires, they will tell you the same thing. Just study successful people. As a lot of people say, success leaves clues. Because what you'll find is they're not focusing on the money, they're not focusing on the outcome. So why on earth, if you are serious, if you're a serious individual about trading, and if you're on this channel, it's likely that you probably are serious and you want to learn and grow, why would you focus on the outcome? Why would you do things that are outcome driven and expect to get the results when you're not going to get them? But if you focus on the processes and you combine all these things, but more so, take pride in it. Literally take pride in all of these things, and just see how happy, even it brings a smile to my face, because I couldn't think of anything else. And when I first got into Forex, there is no way on earth that I would have thought, I need to focus on this area, I need to meditate, I need to focus on my routines, I need to surround myself with successful people. I would have thought, look, once I've got the strategy and I know what I'm doing, then surely that will be enough. But you don't realize that there's all these other ingredients that are congruent. And once they're congruent together, they give you that recipe that you need. And this is why we have things like, you know, millionaires that feel unfulfilled. Why is that? It's because they've just focused on the money. I mean, there's even been, I'm sure there's been programs about it before that we've seen, whether it's on YouTube or online. I'm sure I've seen it before, where there was a program just on millionaires and they were unfulfilled. Why is that? It's because they spent all of their life focusing on outcome-based things. And all sometimes in different industries, in Forex it's very difficult to get success, but in other industries, when you're just focusing on profit, money, that's it, on business, you can do very well. But you'll often find those people have neglected relationships, they've neglected their health and all these things. What is the point in being overweight, bad relationships, no friends, no inner circle, but you got all this financial gain? Who are you going to share it with? What are you going to do? And this is people that go into outcome-driven things. So it just goes to show you that success means something different to everybody. Success to me may mean something different to you. And I'd love to know, actually, in the comments, let us know, like a detailed comment. What does success truly mean to you? Define it, because it is literally different to everybody. Because who's more successful? The person that earns, let's say, I don't know, 100 grand a year, they work in the city, they work 14 hours a day, they spend 4 hours on commute, they don't see their family, they don't see their kids, don't see all of these things, they technically earn more money. Or somebody who earns, let's say, £60,000 a year, so they earn £40,000 a year less. But they work a more flexible lifestyle. They get to drop their kids off to school. They get to have an hour a day to themselves to go to the gym and meditate. They get to spend time with their partner, with their kids, take them to a football practice, whatever it may be. But these true memorable moments in life, who's more successful? Well, someone could look at the figure and say, well, that person's more successful. He earns 100K, he earns 60K, or she earns 120K, or she earns 40K. Whatever the figure is, it doesn't really matter. What it is, to me, success is about all areas of life to be able to do that. It's not just on a financial figure. And from what I've seen and studied successful traders, successful people, been lucky enough to be surrounded by some seriously wealthy people, and what I would call wealthy people, because they've got all of these areas figured out. And they tend to be the happiest people because they're happy within themselves. And I think that's the most important thing that we're searching for, to be the most confident in ourselves. Self-esteem. Self-esteem is a huge thing that nobody really talks about. People lack a lot of self-esteem. And remember, there's an old quote that people say that some people are so poor, all they have is money. Think about that. Some people are so poor, all they have is money. There's so much wisdom in that. And you don't realize that when you're younger. Because when you're younger and you don't have these materialistic things or goals, all you think about is money. And if you're somebody right now, you're 18, 20, 21, you're probably infatuating over, I want that Ferrari. Yeah, I get it, but I want that Lamborghini and I want that lifestyle. And you realize that's not going to make you happy. What will make you happy, I can promise you this, is focusing on all these areas of life, feeling confident in yourself, backing yourself 100%, being congruent with all these things, and realizing that when you set out to do something, you keep to your word. When you set out these goals, you go and achieve them regardless of the hurdles, regardless of the outcome. You keep moving forward. And that skill, and you tie that all together, is what is going to give you that long-term happiness, in my opinion anyway. So that's what's helped me. Forex has incredibly changed my life. It will continue to do so, because from the maintenance side of things, I keep leveling up. When I notice and I look at me 5-6 years ago, even in my routines, my processes, all of these things that I need to do to get me the outcome has constantly had to level up. When I first took an investor capital, I had to level up massively. My mindset was just excited at that point, but I realized I had to take my processes far more seriously than what I was doing, be completely diligent, keep in check with myself, think quarterly, which made me think more like an investment mindset, which is another point that helped me. And I wouldn't have done that if I didn't do all these other things. It would have become very, very difficult. So again, the last point I want to mention is that investment quarterly mindset, which is why we don't judge ourselves month by month. We look at it quarter by quarter and year to year. Why? Because you can have an average month and an incredible quarter. And you can also have an average quarter and an incredible year. So what would people do? And I've done this before. Had a terrible first quarter and think, oh, well, the rest of the year is going to be terrible now. Well, of course it is, because I've just said it is. And then what would happen? Q2 would be exactly the same. Where then what that would shift to is that if you had just an average from a percentage perspective, Q1, that doesn't define your year. What will define your year is how you react to that Q1. And most people don't figure this out. If you're a Forex trader right now, and you're thinking about getting involved in Forex, one of the biggest advice that I can give to you, apart from all of these things that I've spoken about in this episode, which I wish someone would say to me from the very beginning, is think quarter to quarter. Don't go in with something that's just going to give you a bigger outcome, because if you're really serious about this financial freedom, which we all are, you want to think about, what would you want to do? What does the ideal life look like for you day in, day out? Create those good habits and those routines, and in the longer run, you're going to thank yourself. 10, 20, 30 years from now, you're going to be able to sustain this, but more so, think about how all of these other areas of your life will be in abundance if you focus on those things. Your health, your friendships, all of these things. Think about how good that's going to feel. I would manifest that, and visualize your future life rather than outcome. So it really does go back to all of these things. They're just processes. And if you can get them on point, you'll get the outcome as a side effect. Guys and girls, I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. These are just some points that have changed my life personally in Forex. I would love to know, again, in the comment sections, what does success mean to you, and how has Forex changed your life? And how do you think that you're going to do these things that is going to sustain it in the long run? Have a successful weekend ahead. I'll speak to you soon.